Coronavirus update, politics, economy, and many more. This is Flash News, our 15-minute show where we show it all with Polish perspective. I'm Karolina Pajączkowska, and kindly welcome. We start, though, with the world of sport because he did it. Robert Lewandowski scored a goal in the final minute of Bayern's last league game and broke Gerd Müller's almost 50-year-old record. The Pole proved once again that he's probably the best footballer in the world at this moment.
41 goals in 29 games in one of the best leagues in the world. Impossible? Not for him. A gladiator, a robot, man of special task and the captain of the Polish national team. Robert Lewandowski has once again made his mark on football history in a big way. The whole world was watching this match today. The whole world was watching Robert Lewandowski. Augsburg's defenders were doing their best. Polish goalkeeper Rafał Gikiewicz was doing his best. And yet, in the last action of the season, this giant trait came to bearing. His hunger and conviction that he can do it and he will never give up. Although the result of the match was already decided in the first half, for us emotions lasted until the very last minute. Augsburg's goalkeeper Rafał Gikiewicz was doing a great job stopping Lewy's shots time and again. Our striker was also very carefully guarded by the defenders, as recommended by the coach before the match. We will cover Lewandowski to protect Müller's record. When I was younger, Gerd Müller was my great idol and I hold him in high esteem. This is why I would like this record to continue to stand. We'll do everything to keep it that way. They tried their best, but couldn't stop what was coming. As he has done throughout his career, Lewandowski has proved that with hard work, dreams can come true. The ensuing euphoria on the pitch was quite understandable. The same euphoria among his fans in Poland, thousands of whom today kept their fingers crossed for their idol. That was a question of time. Today there was suspense the whole game and he did it in the final minutes. A great pride. This is a historic event and a truly spectacular moment for Polish football. Lewandowski's feat deserves all the more admiration as the Pole has abstained from as many as 5 league games this season.
We're back to the ground with politics. The government shall not take a decision that would put the country's energy security at peril. This is how the Polish authorities react to the ruling of the Court of Justice of the European Union on the Turów mine. The court demanded an immediate halt to coal mining right there.
The Turów lignite mine supplies a power station that produces electricity for 3 million Poles. What with hospitals? How should nurseries, kindergartens and businesses function? The application to the ECJ was submitted by Czechia. According to Czechs, the mine has caused a decline in the groundwater level in their country. However, there are as many as 9 other Czech and German lignite mines in the immediate vicinity. In addition, a year and a half ago, the Czech Republic signed a memorandum of understanding with Poland, under which the Turów mine was granted a mining license. According to same speaker Elżbieta Witek, the ECJ has dealt a blow to Poland's energy security. Meanwhile, Nord Stream 2 is doing well. For us, the most important thing is the Polish raison d'etat and will be guided by Polish interests. There are more similar voices in the United Right. Politicians argue that the ECJ's decision is a violation of Poland's energy sovereignty. We are dealing with a violation of treaty policy and increasing interference in sovereign decisions of Poland. The Civic Platform takes a completely different view of this. This is a court ruling and those in power must comply with it, no matter how painful and difficult that is. This is a scandalous statement. It is obvious that here the interests of Poland and Poles are not taken into account. The closure of the Turów mine would mean multi-billion-dollar losses for Poland, the collapse of the local labor market and problems with electricity supply.
And we keep on the local news. The army is investing in new technology and combat drones. The armed forces will procure 24 such devices. The military want also modern vehicles. A contract with Steelworks Hura Stalowa Wola amounts to over $20 million.
The army will receive 21 ammunition supply vehicles and 7 field repair vehicles. They will accompany the RAK's self-propelled mortar. This is a process in which further orders will be placed with Huta Stalowa Wola. This is because HSW produces good weapons. The army will receive the first vehicles next year and the whole contract will be completed within 3. Under the agreement, the army will receive a complement of logistic support vehicles on wheeled chassis for all its RAK firing modules. These are Polish products developed by Polish engineers in Polish plants in the Polish Armed Forces Group. And these are the future of the Polish Armed Forces. They are the world quality product. Poland will also buy 24 combat drones from Turkey. The drones have proven their worth in conflicts in Libya and Syria and the war for Nagorno-Karabakh. They will be armed with anti-tank missiles. This is a weapon system which the Polish army has never possessed before. It is combat-proven in several wars and will significantly strengthen the Polish armed forces. The first of the 4 units will be deployed in 2022.
This is Flash News. Coronavirus report starts now. The third wave of the pandemic is dying down. The government is loosening restrictions, but the health minister still calls for vigilance and compliance. The last 24 hours have seen more than 1,500 new infections. But the amount of casualties is still not dropping down. The ministry has confirmed nearly 200 deaths.
There are now more than 8,500 patients in hospitals with COVID-19. This is only half as many as just a fortnight ago.
Praca na oddziale covidowym była pracą ciężką.
Working in the COVID ward was hard. It has improved now for sure. We often meet people in shops or on the street who are there. They sometimes even recognize us despite us having been in the suits. They are grateful. Most of the temporary hospitals in the country will be disbanded by the end of the month. We see the third wave abating. We lift more restrictions and the growth in infections is not nearly as dynamic as before, if any. More than half of surveyed respondents rate the government's decision in the fight against the pandemic well. This is an increase of 10 percentage points compared to the CBOS survey from April. Poles have also a good opinion on the organization of the vaccination campaign. One phone call was enough to get enrolled, then the first vaccination came, and now there is the second one, all according to the schedule. Almost 5.5 million Poles have been fully vaccinated until now. To return to normality, to be able to meet with one another and with loved ones. The government is considering COVID-19 vaccination in schools. If we vaccinate these young people and perhaps children too, going forward, we'll be able to offer them normal education in September. I think that would change a lot because it would make it easier for younger people to access the vaccines. After all, you need to go to the market square, to the vaccination point there, and to stand in a queue for 4 hours. That's hardly what anybody would want to do. Currently, the product may be administered to young people from the age of 16. Vaccination of younger people has not yet been approved by the European Medicines Agency. Despite the ongoing pandemic, children will spend their vacations in summer camps and daycare facilities. Following the sanitary regime, of course, the Minister of Education and Science has published guidelines on the matter.
A space base in the middle of Poland? Well, why not? The town of Piła hosted a space mission, very special one, which has just come to an end. Analog astronauts from various countries are returning home now. In the Lunaris space base, the presence on the moon was simulated for a fortnight. The participants were almost cut off from the world and subjected to various tests.
Not a space holiday, but hard work. From dawn to dusk, the days were filled with tasks and experiments such as spacewalks and soil sampling. The lunar rover Leo took part in the tasks. The well-being of the mission participants was also monitored.
Dużo było testów psychologicznych.
There were a lot of psychological tests. We investigated how our psychology, physiology changed during 2 weeks of isolation. There were no major conflicts. On the contrary, the team has developed a very home-like atmosphere.
At the end of these 2 weeks, we were really a good team, a strong team. And then suddenly from one day to the others, then everything changed again. And then you have to go back to the old routine.
Indeed, coming back from the moon to mundane activities can be a hard landing.
This is Flash News and still more to come. Now we move to Belgium, where for the fourth day, all law enforcement services are on alert. Why? Because a manhunt is underway for a corona-skeptic soldier who has declared a private war on the government and virologists. The man carries a machine gun and he's probably hiding in the forest.
The search is being conducted from the air and on land. 46-year-old Jürgen Konings is an experienced soldier. He served in Iraq and Afghanistan. He wrote about the revenge for the lockdown in his farewell letters. He intends to use violence in the name of an extremist ideology. He has planned this carefully, which is why we must treat him as a potential terrorist. Dutch police have arrested a knife man who stabbed passers-by on the streets of Amsterdam. There are 4 injured and 1 person is dead. Conquer Monte Cassino on the trail of Anders Army soldiers. This is the slogan of the educational path prepared for the 77th anniversary of the battle. We promote Poland by showing its history. We plan to award 100 people who take up the challenge and walk the whole trail. A terrifying abyss under the Eiffel Tower. It is an optical illusion created from a paper installation. Tourists are neither afraid of the chasm nor of long queues. It is worth it to take such a photo. The Sakura diamond awaits its owner in Hong Kong until tomorrow. A large colored stone with a flawless surface is a real rarity. The price may reach $40 million.
So they say that dog is a man's best friend. It seems like now the dogs can even sniff out COVID-19. How come Thai authorities use their abilities to fight the growing pandemic in the country? So Labrador retrievers are trained to detect the coronavirus in human sweat samples.
The dog testing took place at Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok. Hundreds of sweat samples were brought in, including those from bedridden patients and volunteers. The effectiveness of the 4-legged coronavirus trackers is estimated 95%. Importantly, they can detect a volatile organic compound which is secreted in the sweat of the ill of the COVID-19, even if they show no symptoms of the disease. To see 8 of the 15 paintings that make up Pablo Picasso's Women of Algiers series gathered in one place is rare. It is Berlin's Berggruen Museum that has prepared this treat for visitors. Inspired by a painting by Eugene Delacroix, the Spanish painter created his works in the 1950s and labeled them with successive letters of the alphabet. The paintings exhibited in Berlin have been on loan from collectors and museums from all over the world. It is the showpiece and pride of Spanish cuisine. Chefs put the whole heart into preparing the perfect paella. Does a food robot stand a chance under such circumstances? It seems so. This machine specializes in making paella. The robot consists of an electronically controlled oven and an arm that puts the ingredients into the pan, adds the rice and then stirs it before pouring in the broth. The chefs don't see the robot as a competitor, but rather a helper. Chester Zoo has reason to celebrate. It's the birth of the first red-bellied lemur in the park. The baby, whose sex is not yet known, is for now getting used to his surroundings from the safest position, that is tucked into the mum's fur. And there it will stay for the next weeks. Only sometime later, the father will begin to be involved in the care of the baby lemur, and it's quite possible that he will also take the lead.
And how cute is this? I can assure you that our tomorrow's Flash News show will be as cute as it is, with some news, important information from the world too. That's everything for now. Thank you for spending time with us and see you tomorrow on Flash News. Goodbye for now.